Okay, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, but let's get right to it. So, Tom Cruise had a meltdown, but it was in a glorious way. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the audio and we'll listen to it together, and then I'll kind of give you my thoughts on it. Okay, here we go.
We are the gold standard.
The first words he said, we are the gold standard. Okay, that's important. And so let me go back here. We'll go back to that again. We are the gold standard. That is extremely important. And we'll get back to that.
You're back there in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every studio at night. Insurance companies. Producers. And they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again. Ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. And I see you do it again, you're gone. And anyone on this crew does it. That's it. And you too, and you too, and you. Don't you ever do it again. That's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people that are losing their homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. In the future of this industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it. And if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're gone. And so are you. So you're going to cost him his job. And I see it on the set, you're gone. And you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Do you understand the responsibility that you have? Because I will deal with your reason. And if you can't be reasonable, and I can't deal with your logic, you're fired. That's it. That is it. I trust you guys to be here. That's it. That's it, guys. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm doing here. I'm talking Universal, Paramount, Warner Brothers. Movies are going because of us. We shut down, it's going to cost people jobs, their homes, their families. That's what's happening. All the way down the line. And I care about you guys. But if you're not going to help me, you're gone. Okay? So you see that stick? How many meters is that? When people are standing around a computer and hanging out around here, what are you doing?
Okay, wow. All right, so Tom Cruise was on fire, okay? And I understand exactly what he's saying, okay? I am currently working on a television show. And I sign an NDA, so I can't really say much about the show and the inner workings and things like that. But I was out of work for almost 10 months because of the pandemic. And he's absolutely right. What they're doing now is, like, you have to make sure when you're on set First of all, if you go back to like when Jurassic Park, Jurassic World first started back up, they actually had a line item in the budget for an estimated $5 million for PPE, for COVID testing, for a safety and health team. See, when you're watching a movie, and most people don't stay around for the credits, but if you watch a movie, especially something like Avengers Endgame that had nearly 700 credits, maybe even had more than that. When you've got a movie like Mission Impossible, and then what you do is you're adding a layer onto those credits, a whole new department that never existed before, health and safety. And they're trying to make sure that people social distance. When you have to stand 6 feet apart, when you're on movie sets, you can't be up in people's faces. You have to have a face covering, an N95 if you're closer to the actors, or a face shield if you're going to be close to the actors, things like that. There's all these policies that are set up now. COVID testing, people in different zones, and this is going on across the industry. So it's not just like the production I'm working on, but they're doing all of this because thousands and thousands of people in the film industry lost their jobs when everything shut down. Because, when a movie set comes together, there's 150 people 200 people on a movie set at any given day. You've got background actors, you've got the regular cast, you've got everything. And like all these things have to work together. And if people test positive of COVID, and this has happened before on other shows, the show shuts down. When you shut down, everybody loses payroll. And then like Tom said, I'm on the phone every night with insurance companies. Remember, Tom Cruise is not just an actor. Tom Cruise is a producer, a creative. He's helped co-produce and produce the last 10 movies that he's done. So like he's on the phone, but people don't realize this, but he's on the phone nightly with different production companies, different studios. Like he said, Warner Brothers, Universal, you name it. He did a lot of movies for United Artists for a while, and Universal, big Universal. And he's literally talking to these studios and ensuring that when they put money up to produce a film, that it's going to run and will go all the way smoothly till the end, and then will be able to be released. And you remember, like, we're all dying to go back to the cinema. Everyone's dying for new content. One of the things that people have been doing, they've been binge watching everything, and there's nothing new. They're running out of stuff, and it's only been things like Disney Plus that have been able to do The Mandalorian in the volume. This studio that's self-contained with the LED wraparound screen, and Tom Cruise is specifically said things like, I love you guys. We are the gold standard. We're setting the standard, and it's true. The big shows that could afford to get going right off the bat did, because they had tons of money behind them to do the things, the weekly testing of people for COVID. Because the bottom line is if the show shuts down all the way down the line, we're talking carpenters, we're talking electric, we're talking construction, we're talking truck drivers. Everybody suffers when a movie shuts down across the board. And then with everybody being out of work for almost 9 or 10 months, and then everything starts getting going again, the last thing you want to do is shut down, especially when you're midway. And when every movie or television show has to be bonded by an insurance company. And the insurance company, because of COVID, it's a whole new ballgame. Before, they would bond for, even like, for example, Tom Cruise bonds himself when he does a stunt, when he's hanging on an airplane. Nobody will bond that. When Harrison Ford flew a plane in one scene in 6 days and 7 nights with Anne Heche, he had to bond himself, because if he crashed the plane and died, all the people that put up the money to make the project would lose all the money. They'd never get a return. So with COVID, it's a whole new ballgame, because every time the show shuts down, you lose just on payroll, something like $300,000 a day. Okay, you basically lose the day. So you have to file an insurance claim on that. And the insurance companies will bond a movie, but you got to promise that your people and your staff are doing the right thing, that they're social distancing, wearing face covers, wearing face shields, going through all the CDC protocol. These are things that like have to be done in order for movies and television shows to go forward until, we get herd immunity through vaccination or this thing burns itself out in 3 or 4 years, whatever the case may be. Between now and then, insurance companies, it's a whole new ballgame. And, there's a lot of unsung heroes, especially the health and safety people that are on these shows, because they're literally they're kind of like flies on the wall. You don't really see them, but they're going behind you. If you come out of a porta-john and they wipe down the handles, they wipe down everything. They're doing things to keep everything sanitized and clean, and not like janitorial stuff. They're sanitizing to stop the spread of COVID. It's a whole new ballgame. Like making movies, it puts a hold. And I'll tell you what, if you're producing a movie like Tom Cruise, that's another. Like he even said in the thing that this keeps him up at night. This is what he's thinking about at night. Thousands of people losing their jobs. Look, he doesn't need the money. Okay. He makes movies because he loves to make movies. He could have retired years ago. I mean, the guy is a multi-millionaire. He doesn't care. He makes movies because he loves the family that it forms on a set. He loves the collaboration. He loves the stunts. He loves the thrills. And when you're on a set with Tom Cruise, and I've worked with friends who have worked with Tom Cruise, the guy is like, he's so committed to the process and to the people and to everybody involved, from all the way from the top down to, the drivers or craft service or whatever. Like he cares about everyone. And, however you feel about him, outside of that, that's on you, as far as like the Scientology and stuff like that. It's not even an issue to me because I separate the filmmaker from what they do personally. That's not a big deal, but he cares. He actually cares. And, he wants to deliver. I mean, it probably killed him that they had to push Top Gun Maverick because of what he had to do, training in the aircraft, the live action stunts that now they would do it CGI. But he's like, nah, man, we're getting in F-18s and we're doing it right. And with IMAX, mini IMAX cameras inside the cockpit. I mean, like the guy is he's on fire. So when he's saying these things and the people are standing around a computer and they're all hunched over and they're all close and they're breathing on each other, dude, that is a recipe for getting people sick with COVID. You have to stay away from people. You just have to. And I feel for any producer, I don't care if it's Tom Cruise, could be the producers on my show. Making a television show or a feature film is so complex. And there's so many things you have to juggle and so many personalities that you have to juggle and the process of how it works and everything, that you throw a layer on top of that. The burden of, if someone gets sick on my show, the show shuts down, people lose their livelihood. The sick person goes home, could get worse, could get sick, worst case scenario, could die, or passes it on, survives, is asymptomatic, but passes it on to an elderly person, maybe their father, the mother, the grandmother, and they die. That's the weight that the producers are carrying now, that they have to make sure everything is done right to ensure the safety for the cast and the crew. So when he flipped out, I totally understood what he said. I totally got it. And anyone who's working on a film right now or a television show gets it, absolutely gets how serious it is on set and how you just can't screw around, because it just, other shows are Scream 5 shut down, but they had some false positives. Some people tested false positive. So they weren't sick, but they shut the show down until they could figure it all out, retest people, go through that process. I can't imagine how much they're spending the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars on tests, COVID tests, the rapid tests, the PCR tests. You know, there's nurses in tents that have never been on movie sets before and TV sets. And all their job is to do is to test the crew. Right in the nose, right in the nose. Send it on to the lab. I mean, it's crazy to have nurses on set, but you have certified nurses, certified health and safety teams that are taking care of the crew. This is important. You know, it's important because if we're all in lockdowns or if it goes back to the way it was, you know, people want content. They want fresh new stuff. They want to get excitement. And if there's one thing, you know, the film industry survived the Great Depression, you know, or vaudeville is what I meant, like entertainment. Like we need escapism for everything that's going on in our lives. It's nice to get a break for like 2 hours or an hour to watch a show and to go into that life and live it through those people, or to see someone else's circumstances, or to just watch an action film and just have mindless entertainment, Star Wars, whatever. Like we need that more than ever. We need to be able to take those breaks from life because we can't go to the restaurants or we can't go to the movie theaters. People are doing the drive-in stuff now, but like we need entertainment more than ever. And entertainment got us through the Great Depression. Entertainment is the one industry that almost never goes belly up. You know, you see industries go belly up all the time, but the film industry, television industry, radio, entertainment, it's just a release for mankind. And we need it. We need that escapism. And that's what he's trying to say. You got livelihoods. You've got people depending on us, the health. And you think Tom Cruise wants a show to shut down and then somebody die that was on his, you know? I mean, we've seen how hard it happens when a stunt guy dies or something like that, something that tragic happens, you know, an accident or something with crew. I mean, it rattles everybody. And then to think that COVID, the shit you can't see. I had COVID back in July. I don't want it again. And I know the crew doesn't want it. And I'm right there with Tom Cruise, man. I think this was the best thing we could have had. And I was talking to one of the health and safety people today on set, and I said, we need to take Tom Cruise's tantrum, his scolding of his crew, and record that and blast it through PAs on every set across the country, so that people understand, you know, what everyone's going through and like what we need to do and how we need to do what we have to do to make us safe, to keep us protected. This is some serious shit, man. And Tom Cruise, I love you for flipping out on your crew.